Hello, Crafty Crandall fam. Welcome if you are new here. I'm Sabrina, also known as Crafty Crandall here on YouTube. I recently received a really cute penguin felting kit. Now, if you know me, you know that I love penguins. In any given room in my house, there are several penguin related things, and so this kit is perfect. Now, I have seen so many advertisements regarding the Woobles crochet kits, and in addition to being rather expensive, crochet is not something that I particularly enjoy doing, and so I was super interested to find out that these kits are also made for felting, just not through the Woobles brand. This, to my understanding, was purchased through Etsy by my sister as a gift for me, and so I am going to create the kit for you today, explain how difficult or easy it was to follow along, and show you the end result. So without any further ado, let's get to felting. Felting can be a really fun activity and a good activity for kind of getting out some aggression, if you will, because all you are doing is essentially stabbing felt with a needle. Now, this process takes a very long time. All of the footage here, with the exception of a small bit of it, is going to be sped up because this project took over 4 hours to make, and it is a relatively small figurine that you are making. So to felt anything at a larger scale would take quite some time. They did provide a 1-to-1 scale image of the piece that you are making, which was super helpful as a reference. I will also say, this is sometimes very painful. When you stab through the leather guards and manage to hit a finger, it is painful. This is not for kids, I would say. It is definitely more of an adult activity, and to be honest, I might get some cut-resistant gloves or Kevlar to wear when doing this in the future, because again, it can be painful. I also found that the small details were a little bit difficult to make, for instance, this nose. I'm sure that this is in part just because I am very much a beginner felter. I don't have any of the techniques down and don't know how to generally make smaller felted items, but definitely working at a larger scale was easier than the details of this piece. I called it quits on day 1 after about 2 hours, halfway through making the frames for the eyeballs, and then here started day 2 of my felting journey. Next step is to put the eyeballs in. So as you can see, there's obviously 4 eyeballs total in this kit. 1 for the penguin, 1 for its little bag. The eyeballs were honestly my favorite part of this piece. It was really fun just to stab a hole and then place the eyeball. The kit did say that they could not ship any glue, and should you want to use any, you would have to provide it, so I did. And I simply poked holes, put glue in, and then shoved the eyeballs in to the best of my ability. This did take some finagling, but overall worked out okay. The next step was to start on the sweater of the penguin, which was very much like the initial part, stabbing together the ball. I used a heavy gauge needle for this at first, and then used the light gauge needle. I also wanted to keep in just like a small component of real-time footage. So this is 43 seconds of me doing just this itty-bitty little ball for the cheeks. The entire clip for this was 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but I didn't want to bore you to death with that. So just to give you a reference of how long this actually takes in real time, it is a meditative process, if you will. You just sit here and stab and stab and stab and stab until you reach your intended result. One thing I will say is that it is a very forgiving medium, I would say. It is easy to adjust in flight, and because it takes so long, you really can fix a lot of mistakes early on if you start to make them, which is nice. There is definitely a point of no return, which they mention in the instructions. Like, if you make something too big, it is difficult then to resize and make it smaller. So that initial ball being in the 1-to-1 aspect ratio with the photo was something that they harped on as really important because that's kind of where you can't fix your mistakes. But beyond that, I did find that I was able to work through a lot of the issues that I was having throughout the process and make it a little bit better as I went. Overall, I think this kit was fun, and the instructions did an okay job of illustrating what you needed to do for various parts of the process. That said, they were a little bit difficult to understand at points and didn't really go through any of the technique needed to make the piece. It was all more so just step one, do this, here's a photo. Step two, do this, here's a photo. Not how to do some of the steps, like how far to poke, how many pokes you should need, right? Like they kept referencing just small needle or large needle and assumed that you had those things because they did not provide them. Again, installing the eyeballs was probably the most fun part of this process, but overall it was a very cathartic and enjoyable process as a whole. Also, the resulting penguin figurine is super cute and is something that I'll now have forever. So the instructions for the bunny ears for the bag literally quote, "Empathy to make a rabbit's ears. Ears and fixed on the oval ball." That's the instructions for this. So we're flying blind, but based on the pictures, we just make the little bunny ears and pop them on. So let's start. I would totally recommend felting as a creative activity to get you out of your comfort zone. This medium is really fun, and I've done a couple of different things with it now that I think really boost my creativity and generalized enjoyment of creating without necessarily whipping my paint out or my guitar. It is just another way to explore creativity that I really appreciate having in my arsenal of activities and hobbies. I didn't feel like I was having very much success putting this all together with the needle on this surface. It just kept poking through, obviously, and it doesn't feel like a very tight little line. So what I'm gonna try to do is attach it to this and make it tighter while it's on the figurine. So hopefully that helps. It is long enough, so that's the strategy I'm gonna try. I don't know if this is proper felting technique, so if you are a felter, I would really love your feedback as to how you do like the smaller components and like long, thin components. Like what is the technique there? Let me know. As a method of just figuring it out on my own, this actually worked pretty well. You guys, we're almost there. Hooray! So the last step is to make the little feet. And they actually say in the instructions to just make little circles and then use scissors to cut them into the little toe pattern, which I'm gonna try and I hope is really easy because that's kind of a game changer that you can just make an easier shape and then cut in the shape that you wanted. I wish it had said that for the bunny ears because I think that might have been a little bit of an easier way to do it. So let's see how this goes in making our little feet. Unfortunately, this didn't actually work for me. I made the little circles just fine. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. I made the little circles. I struggled with this. I continuously had to put them like between my little leather guards and try to shape the edges because making them on the felt surface, again, it just kept poking through to the back and it would never actually make the flat cohesive piece that I wanted. But when it came to using the scissors, which you see there in the foreground, I could not actually get this to cut through the felt without potentially cutting it in half. So I did just use the needle to make the toes, and this ended up working out okay. The last step was simply adhering the feet to the bottom of the penguin, and then we were done and had made the finished figurine. These were the extra pieces left over in the bag. It does not give you instructions as to how to use any of these, so I'm just not going to. Overall, I am super happy that kits like this do exist to give you the fundamental skills within a project to succeed at and boost your confidence in a new creative medium such as felting. I would love to hear any feedback that you have for me or any tips and tricks on how to become a better felter in the future down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I genuinely, truly appreciate it. Please hit the like button if you liked it. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.